I'm going to build a web server with Flask in Python as easy as possible. I assume that you know how to set up Python. After that, you need to install uh, Flask on your machine. Start command line and type pipe install Flask. Okay, you actually install Flask and you are ready to install to write your code. First of all, you need to import Flask in your project. Okay, from Flask, import Flask. After that, you need to know the Flask class. Get the name of current module as the argument. So write the Flask and current name of module as the argument. A variable has all methods and settings that you need to run the server. For the next step, you need to know more about your structure. Take a look at this structure. In the first section, we have a protocol. Protocol can be HTTP or HTTPS. After that, we have a domain name. After domain name, we have a path. It's generally referred to as the website's folder structure. A web server receives additional information via the resource path, enabling it to navigate users to a specific location. Path may point to a specific page, post, or file. A URL can have more than one path. When that happens, the forward slash sign will separate each of them. In the last section, we have parameters. Parameters are query strings or URL variables. They are portion of a URL following a question mark. Parameters contain key and value separated by equal sign. Furthermore, a URL can have a multiple variable. In that case, the ampersand symbol will separate each. The app variable is an instantiate of Flask class. Flask class has a function named route. Route is a kind of uh, decorator function which tell the applications which URL should call the associated function. Let's look at this code. For decorator, you need @ and then name of your decorator, and then we need a function after decorator. Okay, if you run your code in command line with the command flask --app, name of your file, and then run. When the home page of web server is open in browser, the output of this function will be rendered. You need to open this link in your browser. As you can see, the output of this function rendered here. If you want to run your code under Python execution, it's better to write one line of code. App.run, specify the port number and debug equal to true. By write this line of code, you can run your Python code instead of Flask command line. And if you define debug in the input argument of run command, you can specify that every time the program changed, restart the server application. Let's run this code in Python. It has the same result, but you don't need to use the Flask command line. If you understand this 6 line of code, you're familiar with how the web servers work. Noun variable URL is the next step. It is possible to build a URL dynamically by adding variable part to the rule parameters. This variable part is marked as a variable name. It's passed as a keyword argument to the function with which the rule is associated. Let's extend the code with extra rows product and name. And we need to define a function. We need to define a function and name as the input argument. And the response is something like product plus the name. In the following example, the rule parameters of row decorator contain name. It's the name of variable that add to the URL product. If you run your code, and load this URL, as you can see, we have a product as a root and iPhone as a name variable, and the response must be product plus the name. If you load this web page, you can see the result is product plus the name. The name is iPhone in this example, and you can see you have access inside a function by input argument of name. This is the variable URL. It's possible to return the output of a function bound to a certain URL in the form of HTML. For instance, in the following script, index function will render hello world with h1 tag attached to it. Let's write some HTML tag inside of this string. Okay, if you run your code in your browser, you can see you can see the hello world are inside of h1 tag. This is the simple structure of web server. I hope you liked this video. Please don't forget to subscribe.